This was a complaint that was started by Captain. It was initially started by Captain Brown.
Just the one about Scotty?
That's entailing it, and then there was something else that tagged on to it.
You understand, Gary?
I don't understand.
Can't be used in criminal.
Yep.
It was sent to the sheriff. The sheriff sent it down to us. This is something that's very, very new to us. But we just want to, we got to get your side. It's uncomfortable. I know it is for both me and Laura, but all it's going to be is just getting your side of what these things are and then getting you back out on the road. That's all there is.
I like that. For you,
Do what?
You like that?
Do I like it?
Yeah.
Not really.
Really?
Looks more comfortable than the old.
Yeah.
But this is the one that I got this one approved. It's the same thing, except this one's just it's got goat skin on the inside of it.
Because
But I wore it off, dude.
I've developed a callus right there. I could stick it with a needle right there.
Yeah, where it hits you.
Yeah, where it hits me.
Wouldn't hurt. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah,
All right. Let's get this shit over with.
Yeah, let's get it over with. Like I said, it's uncomfortable both of
That's
us.
the problem.
What's up?
I hope you understand that. This is just notification of formal complaint. Just that these are the things we're looking into. That's just our case number. Rules and regs 9001 is conduct unbecoming a deputy. The next one is 6007, and unprofessional behavior. Okay, these are all rules and regulations violations that we're looking into that were brought to our attention.
What's the action?
Various dates and all that.
She's gonna go into it.
It's just I'll get that, make the copy and get that to you. The first one, like I said, was brought to us by Captain Brown. It was initially just going to be taken care of by him, and then as it went up the ladder, they ended up to look into it. Alrighty. Apparently, Scotty Mendenhall was being interviewed and trying to get hired on at Anderson.
Okay.
Did you at some point speak to somebody in Anderson, a deputy or major,
A major.
and talk to them about Scotty, about his, I don't know if it was personal stuff or about work or what?
No.
Brief me on what happened with that whole thing.
What happened is I got a call from, I don't remember what day it was, we were on third shift. And I remember where I was parked at. I was parked outside of Kingsgate subdivision on Batesville Road, and I got a call asking me from Stan Whitten, telling me Scotty was going to apply over in Anderson County. I used to fish with a guy over there, pretty good friends, and Gary Bryant, he's a major, and I called Gary and I said, man, this guy's coming over to apply for a job with y'all. And like I said, this was at the request of Stan Whitten. I said, man, I said, got a guy coming over there to apply with y'all. I said, his name is, I may have told him his name was Scotty. I can't remember. I said,
Stan told you to call the major or something, or told
Stan said that he was going to call, or Stan asked me if I'd call over there and put in a word for Scotty, and that he was going to get in touch with Gary on Facebook, is what he
I said
said.
to helping Scotty get the job.
Yeah, that's how Scotty.
Okay.
Stan went into the story about how Scotty had just recently bought a house, and that he was, he needed to pay for his house, whatever. I mean, kind of the sob story. So I called Gary, and I said, hey man, this guy's coming over to apply for a job. I said, I'm sure I told him his name. I wouldn't just call him, said some guy. And I said, he's a Citadel grad. I said, he's got a couple of medals of valor. I said, distinguished service over here. I said, he's not working for us anymore. I said, he needs a job. And Gary said, okay, if that's the case, then, why is he not working for y'all anymore? I said, man, he left in short order. I said, that's all I can tell you. I said, because at the time, I didn't know which guy he had been fired, and I still don't know. He was fired, resigned, quit. I don't know what happened. So at that point, that was the end of the conversation. We never talked about it again. And then, all this came up. So that's pretty much it.
Have you talked to any of your supervisors about this? Or did the captain talk to you?
Yeah,
Captain
I
Brown?
I did tell Damon, I said, I heard that there was somebody asking questions about some complaint that Scotty filed. I said that to Damon, but that was pretty much the end of it. Because he's
Did you go into anything that you knew about what happened, about why he resigned or got fired or whatever? Because personally, I don't.
No, I didn't, because to be honest, to this date, I have no idea if he was fired, resigned, quit. I still don't.
But under the circumstance, do you know about the search or the whole incident of why he got?
Yeah.
Was that mentioned? Did you discuss that at all with the major?
Nope. And the reason.
What, did Scotty call you, or did he not get the job or something? What have you heard about that since then?
No.
Or have you not heard anything until?
No. I the last thing, just people talking on the street, the last thing I heard was that Scotty had applied or was working in Charleston. Was moving back to Charleston was the last thing I heard. I don't know anything about the kid.
Is Stan friends with him or something? Is that how he knew that he was?
Yeah. The way I understand it, they're pretty tight.
Oh.
But, I don't run in that circle.
We hadn't talked to Stan, so
No, I don't run in that circle.
Okay. So, just for the record, you didn't say anything negative about Scotty?
No, I did not say anything negative about Scotty. Those are.
So your point in calling was to assist him or help him get a job there?
No.
Or kind of?
I wouldn't even go that far.
Okay.
My point was to call over there because Stan asked me to call over there and talk to Gary.
Okay.
So I did. I did not ever at any point tell Gary that he was a great guy. He needed to hire him. I didn't tell him he was a shutbag and needed not to be hired. I didn't tell him one way or another.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that I called over there to get him a job either. I did what somebody asked me to do.
Okay.
So.
And have you? I'm very sorry.
Who filed this complaint
Has it
initially?
put a
Scotty.
Scotty did.
And sorry, I'm just reviewing because obviously everything had to be put on hold for this shooting that happened Friday. So it's been a few days since. So
Take your time.
have you talked back with the major at all after that? Did he call and tell you that Scotty complained or?
The major ad called me and asked me who Tim Brown was.
Okay.
He said, "Who's Tim Brown?" And I said, "He's captain over here." He called him Terrence. He said, "Who's Terrence Brown?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "Tim Brown." And he said, "Okay." He said, "Well, he called and wanted to know some questions about his guy." And I said, "Okay." That was it. He said, Gary said, "I never even knew the guy applied." And I said, "Okay." And that was pretty much the extent of it. We talk quite frequently, but never. Most of the time is, "Hey, you talk to anybody? You going to the game this weekend? And how's Ethan? How's Megan? His kids?" We talk about that. Just friends. You got to be good.
Is Amy a runner or something? I think she's run. Yeah, the point is, I think when he filed this complaint, he was not hired by Anderson County. And apparently he got word that you'd made phone calls, so.
I'm sure you probably did get word that I made phone calls. I'm sure Stan probably told me. Because Stan called me and asked me. That's the only way that is the only way that Scotty Mendenhall would have known that I called over to Anderson County. There is no other way, because unless Scotty knows Gary, and I'm about 99.9% sure that he does not, then that's the only way that he would have known that I called over to Anderson County for him. Was through Stan. So.
You got anything else on that? The next. Sorry.
That's fine.
We're not trying to overload you here, bud. We're just trying to cover it all at one time so you don't have to come back and see us again.
No problem at all.
Okay. Tell me about this whole transferring thing to Echo and
Oh my God. All right.
and how this began, conversations with the sheriff, and all this. Okay. Because apparently we've been told that you were transferring, but there was no personnel order, and that you're not being transferred, and all that. So it's a big,
Yeah.
So come tell me from the beginning. I guess I'm assuming after the Bravo shift mess.
Well,
is when this began.
yeah, I'll tell you. And this right here is you may see a little fire in my eyes in this one because this is a little bit personal.
Okay.
When I was at GTI, I got a text message from somebody on the road that said, "Hey man, we're glad you're coming over." Okay. Where am I coming? Heard you. They announced in roll call today that you coming on our side of that game. Okay, great.
This is timeout just for a time frame. This is just after the Bravo crap was over with.
I don't even know if it was over because I was at GTI. I have no idea what was going on.
Okay.
This was when I had to send you some supplemental from something from a year and a half
from
ago.
the older guy that did that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
This was at the same time period. So that's the same time period.
So at that, when you left to go to that school, you're still on Bravo.
When I left to go to that school, I was still on Bravo.
Okay. Okay.
I get down there. I get, hey, we're glad you're coming over. We're looking forward to you coming to Echo. Great. Phone service down there was horrible. So it was probably that evening sometime when I was able to actually get around to calling somebody. I called the captain, and I said, heard I've been transferred. And he said, no, Captain East.
Captain East.
And I said, he said, yeah, we're moving you to Echo temporarily until we can figure out what's going on. I said, all right, that's fine. We'll stop that part of the story right there.
Okay.
In February of this year, Doug Bortone and I started the process of trying to get me switched over to Echo. Amy's school schedule, we knew it was coming. We knew ahead of time it was coming. The kids have been accepted into different schools, special schools. We knew all of these issues were going to arise. The schools have become more demanding. We had advance notice that there was going to be some issues if she had the kids at school before a certain time or after a certain time.
Okay.
So we kind of knew that this thing was coming.
What's that you do?
She's a teacher. I talked to Lieutenant Bortone about it, and he said, all right, well, let's start the process. He talked to Lieutenant Ridgway, and I talked to Lieutenant Ridgway. He said, well, come on, let's go talk to him now. So we got up and went and talked to Lieutenant Ridgway. Ridgway said, we'll see what we can do. I'll put it out to my guys and see if anybody wants to transfer. Great. Nobody wanted to transfer off of Echo. That's fine. I said, well, over the course of the next several months, I said, whenever. I said, I'm giving you advance notice. I said, because August is when the school year is going to start. I said, so I'm going to need something in place by August. Okay, great. He said 6-7 months notice. This is perfect time. We can do this. This was obviously pre whatever the hell was going on Bravo.
What was going on Bravo?
So I said, man, I said that's fine. Time passed. Once, every couple of weeks we try to work something out or whatever. I'm working on it. I brought up the suggestion of, I said, listen, I said, if it comes down to a point, I said, I'm going to need to be on that set schedule. I said, that's where we can get you into investigations, or we can do this, or we can try. I said, that schedule's not going to work for me. I said, I need this where I'm guaranteed that I'm going to be off in the morning when the kids, even if it's only for 4 hours sleep, 4.5 hours sleep, I come home and take a nap. As long as I can be there to make sure that the kids go somewhere during the daytime. If they're sick, I can stay home with them. Amy can split her class in the afternoon and still get a full day's work in. She's been there all day. So, everything was kind of in line there. I said, I don't need investigations. I said, I need the echo hours.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if I need to, I said, I can take a voluntary demotion to do that. And he said, okay. That process continued on. To my knowledge, nothing was ever put in paper. Nothing was ever put in writing. He and I never, we never signed anything, or he never put anything down in the request or anything like that. Well, when I went to Echo, when I found out I was going to Echo when I was at GTI, I'm like, all right, well, something apparently worked. Somebody said something. Ridgeway stepped up. Something happened. I just assumed. I didn't say anything. Right? So I come back to work, pick up an Echo car, had SWAT that Tuesday because I was supposed to go to the Echo hours to work Wednesday, Thursday. I come back and I pick up an Echo car and I drive the Echo car. While I'm driving the Echo car, I get a call at SWAT Tuesday afternoon when I was leaving the SWAT training, which I guess it was probably 4 o'clock or so. I get a message from Damon, give me a call. I said, all right. Called him. I said, what's up? He said, man, he said, I'm looking forward to you coming in tomorrow. I said, for what? He said, for Charlton. I said, first time I heard about this. And he said, well, you've been assigned to my platoon. Great. Okay. I said, well, I'm not going to be able to come in the morning. I said, because I was planning on working Echo hours, so I have to be available to take care of whatever the situation is with the kids. He said, well, that's fine. Take tomorrow off and we'll talk about it on Thursday. And I said, all right. So I took that day off. Thursday I came in and sat down and talked to him. I said, these are the situations, the ones that I just laid out for you. I said, this is where it all started. And I brought him up to speed to where we are now. David said, we're going to work something out. We're going to make it happen. We're going to see what we can do. Talked to Damon. Damon talked to the captain. I'm assuming that the captain talked to the major. I don't know for sure what happened after that. We all sat down and talked, and I said, he said, give me a couple of weeks here. We can work something out. So, captain sat down with him. He said, let's give it a couple more weeks until we get back to third shift. He said, I already know what's on your mind. I don't want you to take a voluntary demotion. That's not what I want you to do. I was very specific. I said, give me a couple of years here. I said, I just need to, with Case the way he is right now, when I got back from GTI, it was obvious that he needed Dad at home. I mean, there was no question about that at all. I had to beat him back in line for a couple of days, but he was fine. And then,
How old is he?
He's 5. So, Allison was going through some things. Belle was pretty much on keel. And, it's hard for a mom with 3 kids working full time to try to handle the kids and do everything. So, I said, I told the captain, I said, listen, I said, my legacy's not here. I said, it's at home. I said, when I walk out the door, I said, nobody's going to remember me 2 weeks after I leave, whether it's as a major or a master deputy or a deputy. I said, but, my family's going to know me forever. We talked about it a little bit. I raised kids. I know what it's like. Okay. That's fine. But, I want my kids to remember my name. I want my kids to know who I am. Mm-hmm. So, a couple of weeks went by. Nothing came up. Nothing was available. Damon Hubbard went and checked to make sure that all of the that there was space available for me on Echo as a deputy. So the week before September the 5th, I turned in, and I'm almost positive September the 5th is right. I still got the letter in the car. I think September 5th started a new pay period. So the week before September the 5th, I said, listen, I hate to do this, but. So I turned my letter in to Damon. He says, well, let's go talk to the captain. I said, all right. So we went and sat down with the captain.
A letter about taking the demotion.
Voluntary demotion.
Okay.
The captain said, well, everything's already been approved. He said, I've approved it. The major's approved it. He said, the sheriff's aware of it. I said, okay, great. So I went to put, I dropped my letter, and that was it. He said, when we were walking out the door, the captain said, I want you to know that this doesn't mean anything at all. I still expect you to perform the way you've been performing. I still expect you to train. This is not going to hinder you in the future. If you want to try, if you want to test again later on down the line when everything gets on the level, you can. Sure.
Sorry.
So,
That was September 5th.
at September, it was the week before September 5th. And I'll tell you why I remember that day. Because the captain said, starting on Monday, which would be the 5th, you'll go to Echo as a deputy too.
So as Captain, who's aware of this? Just give me a Captain East.
Captain East
Hubbard.
and Lieutenant Hubbard were the only two at that point when we were in his office that had seen my letter.
Okay. And they said that it had been approved above them.
The captain said, the major's aware, this has been approved and all that.
Okay.
So the captain said, all right, well, I'm going to call down to
Sally.
I'm going to call down to Sally, and I'll have the personnel order cut.
Okay.
I said, okay, great. So I walk out and got my way out, and the captain says, no, the sheriff's got an open door policy. If you want to go sit down and talk to him, you can. And I said, well, it's not. If he's already approved it, I'm thinking, well, I'm not even, no offense.
And to this point, sorry, but I just want to be clear. To this point,
Absolutely.
you haven't talked to the sheriff
No,
directly about any of this?
Nope.
Okay. And was this, when did you talk to roll call about saying that you were leaving? Is that,
That
you getting
was
to
that
or-
was that morning when I turned in my letter. Damon Hubbard and I talked about it the day before, and he said, do you want me to say something, or do you want to say something? I said, no, I would rather address them and tell them that this is what's going to happen.
Okay.
And he said, I said, I want
So that would have been before September 5th?
Yeah, it would
Like
have
the
been.
day before, or the day that you spoke with Captain and...
Exactly.
The same day.
That morning.
Okay.
So I said, listen, guys, as far as roll call went, listen, guys, I'm taking a voluntary demotion to go back to Echo for personal reasons. I appreciate everything. Y'all have been great. Thanks. That was the extent of it. Turned in my letter. Everything went down with the captain. Everything went down with the captain. And then Damon on the way out said, what do you think? I said, do I need to go talk to the sheriff or just leave this alone? He said, I would go talk to the sheriff if I were you. I said, great. So I go down and sit outside of his office, just a couple people inside, I'm waiting. And then he opens his front, he had his front door closed where Jackie's desk is and the side door was open. A couple of people came in, they were talking about some stuff. And he opened the door, he got up and opened the door. He kind of looked at me, he said, hey, he said, what are you doing? Yeah, and we kind of talked for a minute. We started off joking about 1911s and wanted to, because he was carrying that big house cat he's got.
Yeah.
And he was toting that, and he pulled it out, dropped it, showed it to me, and I was taking a look. I said, that's sweet, dry fired it. Was talking about guns for a minute. I said, listen, I want to talk to you about this voluntary demotion. I said, I appreciate it. He said, explain to me the situation. So I did. Told him the same thing I told the captain, the same thing I told the lieutenant. And he said, okay. He said, well, can you hold off for me for a couple of days? Is this something that needs to be done ASAP? And I said, no. I said, define ASAP. I said, what are you talking? He said, within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I said, no. I said, I can roll back one week with Charlie to night shift, knowing it was going to be hard. And I said, but I can roll back 1 week on night shift with Charlie. I said, that's not going to be a problem. When a man says, hey, listen, I don't like the idea of you taking a voluntary demotion, and he's willing to let you keep your stripe and maybe try to work something out for you, great. I'm gonna do it. So I said, yeah. I said, yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. And he said, I got something in the works. He said, but I'm not willing to discuss it right now. And he said, I'm just not going to talk about it. He said, but just give me a couple of weeks and let's see where we are. Okay, great. I walk out of the office and I said, I told him, the captain's sending the personnel order down to Sally to be done. He said, tell him to hold off on that. I said, all right. So I go back up and I told him, I said, the captain was on his way down the back, actually. And I said, the captain, hold off on the personnel order. He was like, all right, yeah. So I get back in the car, I take off. I told Lieutenant Hubbard the conversation. The sheriff made a comment. He said, I will personally call you and tell you when I find out something is done. I said, okay, great. So that continues. A couple of weeks pass, I'm on the third. A couple of weeks into third shift and I hadn't heard from him. So I called him and left him a message, or didn't leave him a message. I called him, left a message from Jack. That's, whatever that was. Jack or Sal, I can't remember what it was. That was there about a week later. So we're probably 3 weeks into night shift at this point, maybe. He calls me back, and it was in the afternoon. He said, "Well, I was awake, but not up." My phone rings, and he said, I answered the phone, and he said, "Well, this is Loftis." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Man, I'm sorry, I just got your message." He said, "I was laying under a stack of papers." He said, "What can I do for you?" I said, "Well, I was just calling to check and see if anything had come about." And he said, "Yep." He said, "Everything's going to be taken care of on Monday." He said, "We're going to move," or he said, I'll take, he said, your situation will be resolved and we'll have you where you need to be on the 17th of October. He said, the new pay period is what he initially said. And I said, "You mean Monday?" And he said, "No, not Monday. The following pay period is 17th. And I said, "Okay." And just to let you know, I've never kept up with pay periods in 15 years. That's how I've been able to keep up with pay periods for the last couple of months.
I don't know.
So he said on the 17th. I said, "Great." Well,
Time out. Did he say what? He just said everything will be handled by the 17th.
he said he was gonna take care of everything, and I would be where I needed to be on the 17th, or to be taken care of, and I would be where I needed to be on the 17th. I may be paraphrasing. I don't know if that's a quote, but something along those lines. I was under the impression that I would be wherever he wanted me to be put by the 17th.
Never Echo, because that's what you needed, or
But never at any point did he ever say he was going to put me on Echo. Never at any point did anybody say that I would go to Echo. I asked to go to Echo, and we were trying to get me to Echo. And I'll let Lieutenant Hubbard tell you all of the stuff that he said about trying to get all the details he arranged about trying to get me over to Echo without me losing a strike. I don't know what all he did, but he worked his ass off.
you didn't care either way. But if you could still keep your strike, that'd be great.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And that was my philosophy from the beginning.
Okay.
If I can keep my strike, great, but I don't care. So that was the last thing that I was left with. I talked to Lieutenant Hubbard about it. We've been in touch with each other, at least once a week at a minimum about this. The 17th started my week of SWAT school, the 1 week SWAT school that we have every year, which is negotiator structure.
They don't ask us to.
So that started our week of SWAT. While I was rolling off that weekend, I asked them knowing that I was working third shift, I asked on the week before, I said, "Would y'all mind letting me work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Echo hours so that I can kind of be somewhat acclimated to a day shift schedule when I start my week-long school that's on day shift?" The initial response was yes, and then they were like, "No, because we're short of manpower." Okay, that's fine. The one reason I asked was because I didn't want to have to burn all of Sunday to go to do it. I just didn't want to have to do that. So Friday, Saturday, I worked third. Sunday, I was off. Sunday night. Saturday night.
So was the school here, or did you have to travel?
The school was here.
Oh, okay. So you didn't have to drive anywhere. So
No.
Okay.
I didn't have to drive anywhere.
Okay.
The school was here. Saturday night, we go through whatever, and Sergeant Lane tells me, he says, "I'm going to need your car in the morning, and you need to drop your car off," and whatever. He did an inspection on my shotguns, inspection on my taking book. And then he told me, he said, "Leave your car here in the morning." And I said, "Okay." And I said, and I had told him prior to that, I think it was Friday night, may have been before that, that what the lieutenant and I had discussed about the sheriff saying that on the 17th I would be put where I needed to be. Again, nobody ever said anything about Echo. Everybody assumed Echo.
But you assumed that you were leaving Charlie shift.
But I assumed that I was leaving Charlie shift.
Okay.
So he said, "Well, I need your car." Okay, great. Well, I'm like thinking to myself, what am I going to drive? But that was neither here nor there. He said, "You need to make arrangements to pick up an Echo car." And I said, okay. So, knowing that no personnel order had been cut, knowing that nothing had been in writing, I said, "All right." He said, "You need to call Sergeant Silver and get a car." Well, pretty sure how this conversation was going to go with Sergeant Silver. So I made it a point to make the phone call from a recorded line, which was the Adam platoon desk on the far end.
Do you know
What extension that
what
is?
day that would have been on?
That would have been the Saturday night. That would have been the Saturday, so it would have been the 17th, 16th, 15th. That would have been the night of 15th. I made a call from that phone. I called Sergeant Silver, and I said, hey, listen, you know, they're asking me to turn my car in the morning. I need a car. Why are they telling you to turn your car in? No personnel order's been cut. He and I had a conversation about it, and I said, listen, I said, Sergeant, I said, it's not a problem. I said, I will drive my personal truck to SWAT this week. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. I don't know where I'm going. And on a personal footnote here, I was kind of like, well, you know, it makes sense, but it's probably going to be easier for me to drop all my stuff off on Charlie, because if in the middle of the SWAT week I find out where I'm going, then I've got to leave SWAT, come up here, pick up some stuff, change out some stuff, get some new stuff, try to catch up with the supervisor, and then roll back out. So it wasn't an issue for me. So I told him, I said, I'll drive my personal car. I'll drive my truck. It's not a problem. You're not driving your personal car to SWAT team training. I've got a car for you. Just pick up that car. Okay, great. And that was the short version of that story. So I go and I pick up the Echo car Sunday night, and I drive it for the week.
Okay, tell me that real fast. About what time, if we end up needing to pull that phone call?
That would have
15.
been right after roll call. So it would have been,
You're on night shift.
yeah, it would have been somewhere between 7 and 8. So, I mean, probably closer to 7:30, maybe sometime in that time frame.
Okay.
So then I drive the Echo car all week. Now, the jokes have been immense. Where are you at this week? You know, and that's just been the big joke. Where are you at? Where are you going? I don't know anything. Are you still an MD? Are you a deputy too? So I've been playing along with them, cutting up with people, and they're just jokes. I didn't make any derogatory comments about anybody. I didn't say I'm going to Echo this week. I didn't say anything. I had gotten wind that this was coming down the pipe the last week, during the SWAT week. And so I called Lieutenant Hubbard and I said, have I ever at any point told you that I was going to Echo? And he said, no. He said, as a matter of fact, we don't know where you're going. That's been the big thing the whole time. And I said, okay. I said, I just want to make sure that I never at any point. He said, we all assume that you're going to Echo because those are the hours that you need. He said, but nobody has ever told you where you're going, and you have never told me where you're going. And I said, I just want to make sure that I didn't give the wrong impression or anything like that. And he's like, all right, yeah, that's it. Why? And I said, well, no, nothing to it. And then I told him, that's the day that I told him, hey, I got wind that Mendenhall filed a complaint. And that was the day that we had that conversation.
Yeah.
So that was it. I came back Sunday afternoon. I got a call that said, hey, you're still on my platoon until further notice. I don't know whether that's 3 days, 3 months, 3 weeks, or 3 years, but you're still on my platoon until further notice. I said, okay.
And who told you that?
That was Lieutenant Hubbard, and he said, if you have any further questions, you can call me or you can talk to Captain Brown.
Okay.
I said, okay. So as the week progressed, this week, when it's SWAT again on Tuesday, I heard that Walmsley was promoted on Monday. So I called the lieutenant, and he didn't answer, so I called the captain to see what the deal was. And he said, it's in the hands of the sheriff. And I knew by his tone of voice and the way that he was talking that this was shortly coming. So, I mean, I've been around for a minute, I know. So,
Did you?
I said, okay. And
This time, like when you thought you were going to take the demotion and all that, you talked the roll call.
that's
Because you
right.
thought you were going at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
this time, being the 17th, or that last Saturday or Friday, or the few days but leading up to that, after you talked to the sheriff or whatever, did you say to anybody on your shift or in roll call or anything, so-and-so's my last day on Charlie,
Yeah, the 17th. I said
It's been good working with you. I'm going to echo.
I didn't say anything in roll call, but I told a couple of guys, I said, listen, I said, Monday's my last. I said, so, you know, a couple of guys, hey, let's go get some breakfast. Let's go do something or something. So, you know, we went and got a little breakfast Sunday morning. Hey, where are you going? You know, I don't know where I'm going. You know, what side are you going to? I have no idea. You know, when the whole sergeant thing came down, with Boyd getting demoted, I went to talk to Ridgeway, not because I wanted to be promoted to sergeant, because right now is not a good time for me to be promoted to sergeant. So I went to talk to Ridgeway to see if, you know, what his thoughts were, if he was going to have anything available. Well, I'm glad you came to talk to me. And, you know, we talked briefly. And to be honest, I say briefly, it was not brief at all, actually. It was about 15 or 20 minutes. But it was not, you know, he said, you know, I've talked to the sheriff about it, and, you know, this is, I'm not, let's make sure that we understand each other here. I'm not talking bad about anybody, but Ridgeway said, you know, I've asked for you and Mike Decker, both as sergeants, and they told me that Decker wasn't available because he's not finished his probation. And I said, okay, you know, I've heard that 1,000 times. You know, so I just kind of, you know, just kind of let that one go. So, you know, I was like, well, you know, if something comes available, and that was it. He said, you know, he talked to the sheriff about it, and he didn't want me to take the motion, and the sheriff didn't want me to take the motion, and that was pretty much the extent of the conversation. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. You know, I talked to a couple of guys that Saturday night and told them that I wasn't, you know, that I probably wasn't going to be back after the 17th, and that, you know, again, I appreciated it.
Do you know who you talked to? Or who you, anybody you remember talking
We had
to?
all talked about going to breakfast, but we got really busy that night.
The whole, where were you working
Just the
at?
west side.
Just the west side.
We'd all talked about going to breakfast, but I ended up late. Calmon ended up late. A couple other guys ended up high on the call up in 10.
That's where it goes when it's time to get off.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it was, I mean, that was pretty much it. So I mean, we were all kind of a scattered bunch. I sent out a message off the MDT, hey guys, you know, we're not gonna be able to make it this morning late, you know, whatever. Thanks for everything, and that was it. Yeah, I appreciate it anyway. But a couple of guys didn't get the message, and I got a phone call about, you know, 7:45. Hey, we're sitting over here. Where are you? I'm like, oh, I'm on the way, guys. So you know, I went over and tightened my cage out from there, you know, and sat there with Urbina.
Let me guess. That in the house? That's good stuff.
And with I hop on with it, and we ate a little bit, and you know,
Them house would be open on Sunday morning.
you know, and we talked, and that was it. And you know, we just, I'll be honest with you. I think one question was brought up: "Where are you going?" And my response was, "I have no idea." And like I said, the following week is when I got wind of everything. And then I came back, drove the Echo car for a week, jumped in a Charlie car, and that's been where I've been. They moved me to the east side because there was some apparent personal, you know, conflict between me and Sergeant Lane.
What's the deal with that? I mean, was there an issue about this whole swapping car thing? Did it get to be a tiff about it, or?
I had no tiff. I mean, no, there wasn't a tiff with me. I mean, whatever, you know, Sergeant Silver made some comments on the phone that were not in any way insubordinate. He just said, well, listen, he said, if that's going to be a problem, I'll call Lieutenant Hubbard on his vacation. I'll call my lieutenant. We'll figure out what the deal is. And then finally...
The problem about Lane taking the car from you and you not having that vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but there was no...
What reason did he give you a reason as to why you needed to get rid of your car right then?
Sergeant Lane. And I do not ask questions of Sergeant Lane, and whatever he says, I just, you know, either go along with it or, you know, try to handle it by whatever means are necessary. And his personality and my personality are not, you know, just don't gel. I mean, it's nothing personal against him. He's been around for a long time. He's a great guy. you know, but I mean, that's Sergeant Lane, and you know, it's just a personality conflict. So, you know,
I don't know any history between y'all.
we don't have history.
If there's history or
There's not one. There's not history.
some people's personalities just don't gel.
And
And
that's
we
all.
know that. And all these people at the sheriff's office, everybody's not going to get along or be buddies outside of here, rather.
And that's it. I mean, it's just a personality conflict between the two
As
of
long
us.
as we can get along and do our jobs together, then we're done.
I think Lieutenant Hubbard recognized it and moved me to the east side. So that's where I am.
While we're on that subject, what's the, and I know you because I worked with you, and I know that, like today, your freaking boots are always shiny.
Sorry.
You're always in line with everything. So, obviously, when we started looking at this, pulling stuff up on your records and stuff, the deal about your car not being serviced, or the shotgun being dirty, and all that.
Yes.
I wanted to know, just,
Shotgun.
is everything good, or are you just stressed? Because you remember when I asked you if everything was okay? Remember when I saw you down in the front desk? And I was just making sure there wasn't something else going on is there something going on, or is it just stress from this whole thing at home
I'm not happy at all.
Okay.
You want to know the honest
Here?
God truth? I'll just tell you flat out, I'm not happy.
Because I don't get you home business, but is that home or is it here?
My wife is perfect, and there are no issues inside 100 Mercer Drive. I mean, I've got, my house.
I'm glad.
And my house
I just wanted to make sure you were okay because I know that's not you,
No, it's not.
and that's why I wondered what was wrong.
That is, I'm not very happy.
Just not happy with things here right now.
I know. Okay. Well, you want the flat out truth? I'll tell you the flat out truth. I got railroaded. Period. If you don't talk about anything at all, people will make up their own shit. I choose to keep my mouth shut about it. Mendenhall, I keep my mouth shut about whatever's going on with Bravo. You don't say anything, and people are going to talk shit. Eventually, people are going to start listening to what's being talked. And I'm tired of getting the sideways look that I'm the cause or reason of Bravo platoons. The whole investigation. That's what was said. That I was the cause. Then it got out that I was the one who spread the rumors about Cheryl Cromartie and Billy Brewer. That whole thing came out that I spread all these. That's bullshit. That is not true. That is not what happened. I can tell you where it started. I can tell you how it started. I can tell you how it ended up. And I can probably tell you who spread that rumor. But it was not me. But when my face is not present, they're going to point a finger at me. So nobody has taken any of this into consideration. Nobody has stepped back and punted. Nobody has looked at it and go, I'll say it. I'm going to blow my own horn for a minute. Nobody has stepped up and said, you know what, Will fucking took control of Bravo when Bravo needed somebody to take control of it. I didn't mess with the west side. I didn't mess with the south end. I took care of the guys on my side of town. Period. Because nobody else would step up.
Where'd you work on, Bravo?
East side.
East side.
Nobody else would step up and do it. There was no sergeant, there was no lieutenant, and nobody gave a shit about us over there. Complaints were filed, statements were made, things were written, they all just magically disappeared and vanished. Nobody fucking knows where they went. But at the end of the whole thing, I'm labeled the troublemaker. I'm the one with the problem. I'm the one that gets transferred. That's bullshit.
Did you ask to leave Bravo?
No.
Oh,
The only time I asked to leave Bravo was when I asked to go to Echo.
Right.
If they had left me on Bravo, I'd have been fine.
See, I didn't. I came in here at the very end of the Bravo thing, so I didn't have any
I
knowledge
didn't
of all
ask to
that
leave Bravo
stuff.
platoon. They asked me to leave Bravo platoon.
What do you mean they?
They moved me. They moved me to Echo while I was gone. So yeah, I think it's bullshit. I think I got railroaded, and it pisses me off. As far as the complaint goes with Richard Lane, personal opinion, I don't have anything to back this up.
And Richard Lane didn't make a complaint. I was just asking just because, when we start doing an investigation, I pull your file up.
Well, as far as my write-up goes with Richard Lane, that whole thing, when I picked that car up, it was out of service when I picked it up. The day I picked it up, it was out of service. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. When I go over to the 32 and get into a car, I don't look up at the sticker. Fault me for it if you need to. That's fine. But I didn't look up at the sticker. 2 or 3 days later, we do an inspection. He looks up and says, "Did you know your car was out of service?" He obviously see that the car was out of service because he turned around and looked at me and said, "Did you know your car was out of service?" I said, "No." He said, "You need to get taken care of." Okay, great. There was like a blue light out on the deck. And there was like one blue light out on the deck. He said, "You need to get that taken care of." Over the course of the next couple of days, between school, my wife, and my kids, and work, because I failed to put that part in there. I'm back to being a full-time student now. So all of these things combined, yeah.
What you going to school for?
Study your religion.
Cool. At Tech
And
or?
psychology and liberty. So it's been just one thing after another. And I'm keeping my house
I
afloat.
just wanted to make sure.
So,
Well,
that
obviously,
right up,
your
I
home
signed
thing
it with
is-
bullshit.
I'm just grabbing this pen.
But
I like
your
it.
home, I just want to make, that's your business, but I just want to make sure you were good, because I know, and I straight told him, note that, I said, that's not Will. I said, Will's always got his stuff put together and you know,
Willie had.
I know,
Willie had.
and I know, but I just wanted to make sure that, or see if there was anything that
And this right here, while we on the
could make
topic,
it better.
and while we on the topic, this right here is bullshit. This shouldn't even be an investigation. This is something that should be taken care of by somebody else. You know what? The dude, well, can y'all even tell me, was he fired? Did he resign? What
Was
was
that
it?
Mendenhall?
Scotty? I don't know, I wasn't here when all that happened. I think he resigned.
I think he resigned, tried to come back, and then they told him that wasn't a good idea. It's because it was like and this is just from memory. I'd have to look it
Was
up.
that Tina's case, or was that yours?
That was Tina's. That was Tina's.
That was before I was down here, so I don't know.
That's some bullshit.
But I think I thought I heard that he resigned.
Because I remember him, because we talked about this later, I remember him coming in the office, like wearing a suit and like a coat and tie or something, and he was upstairs. And this was after everything was said and done. Because I remember thinking, what's he doing up here in a coat and tie? And the sheriff wasn't here, and so he went and saw the chief. Is the last thing I heard about it. But then, I was friends with him on Facebook, so right after that I just didn't feel comfortable. So I took him off my Facebook page. But the last thing I saw was that he wasn't going to be in law enforcement anymore, that he was heading to Charleston for something. To do something totally different.
I mean, so
I was wondering if you said you heard he bought a house. You know how he bought a house when he didn't have a job at the moment.
I mean, this kid, I don't know anything about it. The times he and I didn't necessarily get along, but we weren't. It's not like we hated each other, but he and I he did things. You do this job long enough, you can pick out the ones who are a little bit questionable. People don't pop up with ounces and ounces of meth on cases like that and that from the road without, I stumbled across this. Shit doesn't happen. I mean, his paperwork's fucked up. Everything else is jacked up as a nine-eyed nanny goat. No. You tend, but you see these things. I mean, you can kind of pick these things up. And even though you can't put a finger on what the problem is, and the way I got brought into all this shit was that the guy that was working on my side of town was present when he did whatever he did on the south end. He calls me and tells me this. He said, "Man, I got something I need to tell you." He calls me and tells me the story. And I said, "You got two options." I said, "Number one," I said, "you can keep it to yourself." I said, "Number two," I said, "you can go talk to a sergeant about it." I said, "Those are your two options." I said, "But option A," I said, "if you keep it to yourself," I said, "I'm going to be the one to go talk to a sergeant about it." I said, "Because you've put me in it now." I said, "And now if something happens and I know about it, I'm in as much trouble as he is." I said, "And be prepared to reap what happens if I go talk." I said, "Because you're the one that's going to get bit too." So later on that morning, he goes in and does whatever he has to do. After that, that was it. They never called me and asked me any questions. They never brought me in and talked to me about it. Dave Bryan wanted to talk to me about it, but I didn't want to talk to him about it. So I didn't. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
So this kid, and I've heard, and I've been hearing for weeks now, that this kid, and I think the last thing was, "I will pay for what I did to him." That was said.
Who said that?
And we'll keep that in mind until all this happens.
Sheriff's gonna ask me.
Yep. Well, when he does, he can ask me.
Who,
I'll tell you something. I have turned down 2 jobs in the last 6 weeks.
I remember we talked about that too.
And let me tell you something about why. I didn't tell you the funny part. I about threw up in my lap when I found out how much they were going to pay me. $87,000 a year working for Shea Galls in Virginia.
Shea Galls.
In
You know
Virginia.
Shea, yeah. Working for USAA up in Virginia in Chesapeake. I almost vomited in my lap when I found out how much they were going to pay. You know who got the job?
Who?
Eric Lewis.
Eric.
Really?
Yes, not the same Eric Lewis you know. Eric Lewis got the job.
So if you're willing to move to Virginia,
He picked up the phone and called me when he got the job and said, I just wanted to tell you thanks. I said, for what? He said, I heard you was looking into the job up here. I said, yeah.
was Eric still working down there?
Yeah. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, man, he said, you know, that's where I'm from. He said, I picked it up, man. I appreciate it. I said, man, it ain't no problem.
Doing
I
what?
said, investigations for USAA insurance. And I said, how much? I said, I'm just curious. I said, how much? Because I had been told 60,
Yeah.
65.
Yeah.
I almost threw up.
But you're not going to take your family up to Virginia.
For $87,000 a year, I'd move my family to Antarctica.
There's not too many Walmarts in Antarctica.
Yeah, but the price of living up there is a lot higher than here
it
too.
is. It was $1.2 million for the cheapest house we could find in Chesapeake. And that's why we didn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I didn't take it. But that was all that was right there. So you
Well, I'm
know,
not trying to get y'all riled up, and
well, I mean, this.
I know
this
things
thing's
get you pissed off because
Yes.
you know, and I know you're tired of coming up in here, especially after all that Bravo crap.
Yeah.
fucking dogs, the Bravo thing.
Yeah. So,
I mean, this is
and
getting
I
old.
know I'm not trying to get you, but you know when it's brought to our attention, we have to ask.
I don't understand, but see, here's my.
And you know that we know that there's 2 sides to every, or 3 sides to every story.
Yeah.
You know, so
Exactly.
that's when we want to get your side of things.
Who said this? Who told you? What's his face?
It's just
Scotty.
been- it's
Scotty
just been-
complained.
Who told me that Scotty complained?
Yeah.
I just assumed
Okay.
that Scotty had complained
Oh, I
because
thought-
they were
okay.
calling around.
Okay.
So I mean, I figured, I'm like, yeah, this dude's filed a complaint, and my assumption is that he filed a complaint, and I knew almost immediately that Stan Whitten or Reagan Marlin had to be involved in it because they are the only people that I know Gary Brown. So that was my assumption.
Mm-hmm.
So, and those are the only 2 people that I know of that took Scotty's termination or resignation or whatever happened with him personally. You know, so I don't know, whatever, man. You know, I don't have shit to do with it.
Yeah.
So the only reason, and I'm gonna tell you,
Was
the
this
truth.
recent when somebody said that, relayed to you that he had made comments about how he was going to take care of you and all this?
Yeah, it's been recent.
Was it a deputy that said this to you?
I don't know if they were deputy at the time. Really. I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Who was it?
Because, you know, we have to report everything direct to the
Yeah.
sheriff. And the minute we tell him, he's going to be like, well, who was it? And then we're going to have to come back and ask you and find you again.
Man, if you give me a minute and just let me be comfortable with it, I will tell you who it was. Will you give me that? Will you give me about 15 minutes?
Yeah.
If you'll give me 15 minutes, I'll tell you who it was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throw anybody under any buses until all this shit.
Well, they were just relaying the message to you, right? Is that what they had heard?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm just not.
I mean, and you know me. This is just you, and this is just us talking. I'm not gonna sit here and browbeat anybody. You and I are friends.
Yeah. I don't understand that he's going to ask that question, and I will give you an answer to that question. I will give you an answer to that question, but just give me a minute
No.
to make that phone call first. I just don't, I don't do
No, that's fine.
it to me.
Yeah, you're fine.
So
Um,
that fucking pisses me off, man. The more I see her, that just pisses me off.
you want to we've been in here. Are you done with that part?
Man, I'm fine. I'm good.
Okay, then I'm going to take a break, get some water or something like that. I had to go pee because I was going to wait until the break, but good Lord, that coffee was
Because
running
we've
through me like
already
a
drinking
champ.
14 cups of coffee.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of jacked up right now. I've had so much coffee this morning.
And you know, we've been nonstop up in here since Friday with all that went on. So just to summarize this part.
And you're summarizing. And you're summarizing, correct?
Yeah, I'm just summarizing to make sure it's clear for me. Everybody knows that you were trying and needed to go to ECHO for personal reasons. When you talked to the sheriff on the phone when he called you,
The second time, yeah.
and he said, give him until he said the 17th.
Yeah.
Because that was the beginning of a new pay period.
Yeah.
And he said things will be taken care of then.
The new pay period, when he talked to me, the new pay period would have started on the following Monday, which would have been, what, the 2nd? Or, no, the 4th or something like that.
And that's when you were going to the class.
And that's, no.
Okay, sorry.
When the sheriff called me back, and we talked, and he said, when the new pay period starts, I said, are you talking about Monday? And he said, no, the following pay period, the 17th. And that's how we ended up with the 17th.
Okay.
So that's where the 17th came from.
And just for his words were that he just said everything will be taken care of.
Because at that point,
That you needed or whatever.
yeah, whatever, it'll be taken care of, get you where you need to be, something to that effect. I don't know exactly.
But he didn't say you're going to start on ECHO on the 17th.
He did not tell me I was going to start on that on the 17th. No. He did not.
Back to the Sergeant Lane issue.
Okay.
And like I said, he was not the complainant by any means. This came up during some other parts of this when we were asking about the whole other stuff. Is there a deal between, or did you think there was some investigation going on or something? Or do you, we've already talked about how you feel and y'all's deal, you and Sergeant Lane. There's no history, but y'all not going to exactly go have a beer together. Is there an issue with Dallas, Sergeant Gladstone, at all?
Absolutely not. Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I know absolutely nothing about Sergeant Gladstone.
Okay.
He's a new sergeant, and that's all I know.
Have you ever said anything about taking Sergeant Lane down and taking Dallas with him?
Hell no.
Okay.
And this is some bullshit. Fuck no. I didn't say anything like that.
Okay.
I never made any comment about taking anybody down.
About, like, when all this started.
You mean physically or like
No. Like in here.
hell no?
Like if something were to happen to where you go.
Now it makes sense.
Or get.
What's that?
Now it makes sense. I got a phone call the other day. Some dude was running his mouth that I had been in OPS for 2 days, writing statements on people.
Who said that?
Some kid on the fucking south end. I don't even know who it is.
Now, you talking about
yeah. Now I know. Now it's starting to make sense. Now I'm digging it. All right. Now I know where that came from. Now, okay, go ahead.
How do we find out who?
I'll find out who it was. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find out.
There was, in other words, if when everything was going on, like we said, the issue with the write-up about the car not being serviced, all that crap, and you not knowing if you're going or staying or all that. In the midst of that, I don't know if you thought something was under investigation in here or anything like that, but it was kind of like, if something happens to me, I'll be sure and bring them down with me.
Absolutely.
Not physically hurt them, I just mean
I know what you're talking about. Absolutely.
the way it was portrayed to us as if,
Nah.
going to make sure that...
No, I never made that comment. I never said anything even remotely close to that. As a matter of fact, just the opposite. I said, I told a guy one day, Sergeant Lane and Sergeant Gladson were talking to two kids about something that they had done on the north side of the county, and I told them both. I said, when they came back and told me about it, what the conversation entailed, I told them, I said, listen, I don't agree with what they're telling you. I said, but you do what your sergeant tells you to do. This is my opinion, but I'm telling you, do what your sergeant tells you to do. Matter of fact, it's been just the opposite.
And I know that
That's
this is
bullshit.
the whole reason you've been frustrated, obviously, since you told us now that was why you've been not happy around here. And this is the kind of crap you're talking about, and I understand that.
This is
I
kind of
understand
bullshit.
that. And
Bullshit.
just to clear,
You don't have to know.
just to clear the record, it was not Dallas. Dallas has no problem with you whatsoever on this earth. You know them. He would hardly say a bad word about anybody in this whole world.
I ain't got a problem with Dallas either. I ain't got a problem with him. Matter of fact, Richard has just been. It was funny one morning because we were talking, and even though his personality and my personality aren't the same, and we don't necessarily get along, we've been to lunch together 2 or 3 different times. And
I think Dallas is one that can get along with anybody. He's
Well,
pretty.
Richard and I have been to lunch together a couple of times, and we talk about everything under the sun. Now, when it punches 29 minutes and 59 seconds, we're back on the clock, and that's Richard. So be it. That's his personality. I don't have an issue with that. And I've said that several times. I may not agree with what he says or does, but he's the sergeant. That's his business. It was. I called him one morning and I said, listen, I'm going to have to go home early. I said, because the kids are sick. I said, Amy's sick. I said, I'm going to have to get home. She's got to go in and put sub-plans in place, and she had to be at the school at like 6:30 to do that. So I had to leave at like 6:15. I went home, and then other arrangements were made. Somebody could watch the kids that morning, just briefly. So I picked up the phone and called him. I said, listen, man, I don't need to go home this morning. It's covered. And he said, are you sure? He said, because if you need to go, you need to go. And I was shocked that he was like, so, yeah, take care of what you need to do.
Well, they've all told us that during this, and to clear it for you, obviously we can't get specifics, but nobody on your shift had anything to do with this. This came from up above. Like I said, this was something that Captain was handling, and once it was told to the higher-ups, they wanted us to handle it. So that's where it came from. As far as a specific person that you work with, no.
Bullshit.
But you know, when we have an investigation, we have to call people in and talk to them.
And that is
But-
bullshit. That's fucked up.
Yeah. And I don't want to add to you. Obviously, I know I'm going to add it to it now. Because that's why you haven't been happy, obviously. But I knew that just the little things that Sergeant Lane was having to deal with as your sergeant, it was very out of character for you. That's why I talked to Nate and talked to Tina about it. And I said, that's not Will, something else is going on. So,
Man, that's some fucked up bullshit. Oh, well.
but,
You okay?
Yeah, man, I'm fine.
I don't want you to go,
Don't tell me don't go away mad, because you know that's...
I know, but
That's going in one ear and out the other.
you know what? You know how many times we have to call people in here and ask them some stuff, and they're like looking at us like we're freaking cross-eyed. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
it's
but
like-
how many people come up in here and sit down with 15 fucking years experience? And you got captains and everybody else looking down saying, well, you know what? We don't have enough to ask him, so you go ask him. Fuck that. Come ask me. I will tell you what happened. I have never sat in this room or any other room in this agency and lied to anybody about anything that has ever happened. And I'll be damned if I'm going to start now.
The main thing that was brought to our attention initially was this whole the Scotty thing first, and then
It's funny
how you ended up getting almost transferred, but not really when there wasn't a personnel order and all that. So that's what came to us initially.
We'll wait till the end of this investigation, and once everything's cleared, then I'll make whatever decisions I need to make. This is fucked up.
And you know, it's just Laura's job to unscrew
I'm not
it.
mad at anybody in this room.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
And I don't want you to be at Sergeant Lane. Sergeant Lane spoke to us because we had to call him in here to talk to him. Because his name, he was not the complainant.
I don't talk to Sergeant Lane now. I'm not talking to him later on. I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't have to talk to him, and he doesn't have to talk to me.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, we're not. Man, this is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit.
It's just allegation. When it all boiled down to it, and I know it sucks.
Apparently somebody needs to shine my shoes.
Let's take just a quick break. So
Take a potty break from you.
yeah, you may take a potty break. Will can call who needs to call, and then we'll get you out of here.
You good?
Yeah, let me go get the phone and I'll call.
Oh, you're cool. You sure you're good?
Have fun. Can I look at one of them bad walk off?
Please do. Please do. You okay?
Yes, Nate.
I know you guys are. This is kind of new to me. I think I was kept in the dark a little bit just because you're not our friends, which is kind of the way I like it now.
I agree. I mean, I guess if I'd have known about this before now, I'd probably fucking flipped out.
Yeah. But you cool with it? I mean, I know you're not. I know you're mad. And
Michael
but,
Dow was the one who told me about Reagan Wall running her fucking dick skinner.
yeah.
And I probably shouldn't say that. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
And the other one is his last name's Payne. I don't know what his first name is.
Yeah.
He made the comments about me being in here the other day on. He made some comments about me being up at OPS writing statements on the Canterbury scene.
Canterbury.
Yeah, the home invasion where one got shot in the shoulder a
Oh.
couple of days ago. I guess it was on Friday.
Yeah.
He made a comment down there in front of a couple of people, so you probably pull whoever was down there and find out.
Why would he even say that?
I don't know, dude. I don't even know this guy. If he walked in front of me right now, I would have no idea who he was. I mean, not a clue who he was. And see, I didn't think anything about it. So one of his buddies called me the other day, and he was like, he said something about him, and I said, so you know that kid? He said, yeah. I said, where? I said, who is he? And I said, man, this guy's running his mouth about me, dude. I said, you can tell him if he wants to run his mouth about me, I said, he needs to come talk to me first.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that. I mean, you know, if he wants to know something, he needs to come talk to me.
Yeah.
But that's
Well, like I say, I mean, we got to ask the questions. It's uncomfortable. I don't like it, but I can deal with it. You know, we can deal with it, and then just get all this past us. It's as uncomfortable as it gets. One last complaint came in with all this.
while I was downstairs.
No, but I'm sure my phone's gonna be ringing after all this is out. I'm just messing. Because you know, bad things come in threes. And I told, initially it came in from Charlie Shift, and they asked us to handle it because they didn't want. And again, I just want to put the cookies on the bottom shelf. I don't keep anything from you. Number one, because it's not the right thing to. But number two, you're my friend, and I just wouldn't do that to you. They asked us to handle it just because they didn't want to make it seem like they were piling on stuff on you, because it's just something that came at a bad time. And I said, listen, Will's a friend of mine. I'll ask him. Just man to man ask him. There were some deputies that came forward on Charlie's shift, and they were making comments about, apparently it involved Sherry Lotta, and now whenever they said Sherry Lotta, I I kicked Laura out of the picture. Because I didn't want there to be any kind of conflict. But now Sherry's not the one who came forward with this complaint.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if it's a comment that I made about Sherry Lida,
Yeah.
it's probably nothing that I haven't said to her or talked
Yeah.
to her about, because I love her with all my heart.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not a comment or anything. Apparently she had been called to a scene to pat down a female. You had arrived later on, and then apparently gave her a kiss on the cheek on the scene.
Sherry?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some other deputies came forward, and they felt it was a little bit unprofessional.
Okay. Well, then
So-
I'll flat out tell you, that probably happened.
And that's,
Yeah. And I'll take that one
Yeah.
all day long, because absolutely.
And I think the way it was perceived is because it, like whenever I was getting ready to say something weird, like Tina, I've seen you do it to her. It's inside. It's with friends.
Absolutely.
Shoot, punching buddies and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's inside.
Yep.
We've done it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But they thought it was unprofessional outside.
You know what? And that may very well be that. And I'm not going to tell you that I did or did not do it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you ahead of time, I probably did.
Well, and like I said, I didn't want you to think that Sherry came up here and stirred this up. It did not, and Tina had to talk to Sherry, and Sherry made that very clear.
Yeah.
I just didn't want you to turn around and say, "Oh, Sherry went and complained on me." That's not the case.
I know that Sherry would come up here and complain on me. I mean, if Sherry had a complaint with me, she would tell me in my face.
Yeah.
And
Sherry's like that.
Yeah, Sherry is, no, I can tell you with probably, I mean, I don't remember doing that. I don't remember where it was.
Yeah.
But I can tell you it probably happened. Yeah. Because I do that with her. I've known Sherry. I knew Sherry before she worked here.
Yeah.
She used to run a pottery shop down in Pickens, Ainsley.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife used to go down there and make pottery. And I had met her before. So we were when she was in dispatch on Delta. We all were just like, I mean, it was just like a big family. I mean, I still do it to Ann. Like Ann, when I see Ann Smith, I'll go down and give Ann a kiss on the cheek. I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see me doing that. No doubt about it.
All right, we are done. You gonna grab some lunch after this? Okay. Well, before you go home, you got to get a statement from you on it all. We can just wrap up all three in one statement. I know it's going to take you a while to type it up. If you decide to stay the rest of the day, why don't you grab some lunch or something before you start typing?
Type this thing up and be done with it.
Okay. Just address the whole deal with Mendenhall. Address the whole transfer deal with the cars and all that stuff. And then address the deal with Sherry. And like I said, if you're going to...
What about the one with Lane and
Alex? Yeah, throw that in there as well. About the allegation that you had said that about, in front of another deputy. Throw that in there that you didn't say that. Because that was the allegation that came forward, and I'm hearing it secondhand through the investigators.
I think what's funny as shit is that nobody on Charlie Platoon is complaining, but everybody on Charlie Platoon seems to be talking about shit they don't want to be talking about.
Yeah, that is right here.
Well, I know that I know that there was a whole lot of things that were said to me that obviously apparently weren't true.
Yeah.
So, and I know that this is bullshit. Man,
Which part?
You know what, dude? I'm thinking instead of giving a statement.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit, and you know what? No, that's not true. I'm going to give a statement, and I'm going to see the investigation through.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say just.
I'll see the investigation through. No, fuck that. I'm not thinking about shit anymore. If they won't talk to me, and they want to treat me like a fucking redheaded stepchild, no, that's fine. I'm done. I mean, it's the thing about my biggest problem is if I'm almost 100% sure that if you sit down and talk to one person about the entire thing, and everybody sits down in a room together and figures it out, then none of the shit will even be on the table.
And that's kind of what Laura's job is. That's my job to supervise it, to get all the facts together. You know, because you're right. You know, you tell one person something, and then by the time they repeat it 3 times, it's 180 degrees in the other direction.
I can tell you, everybody probably is saying, "Oh yeah, he said he was going to Echo," but I never did.
Yeah.
Because everybody assumed that I was going there. I've had guys from the Echo platoon ask me, "When are you coming to Echo?" And you know what? It's not even worth it. It's just not even worth it. I'll tell you this, all this is a result of Bravo, period. Ain't no doubt in my mind.
Really?
One way or another. All this is a result of what happened to Bravo.
And this is partly my fault. My knowledge of it is actually pretty limited. Just because as soon as we knew about it, I'd ask Laura, "How you doing? Can I do anything to help you out?" No. So my knowledge of it is limited. If I don't know of anything, if it ties it up with Bravo, I'm not aware of anything that ties up with Bravo.
Well, I mean, the Scotty Mendenhall thing.
Well, no, Scotty Mendenhall, yeah.
I mean, that's point blank.
I mean,
and then the thing about Rick, who the fuck would make a comment like that? Who would make a fucking comment about taking down 2 sergeants? To a bunch of people that you don't even know. I didn't even talk to these guys for 2 weeks and got complained on because I didn't talk to them. You know about that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard about that.
I got complained on because I didn't talk to them. But I don't talk to anybody I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was there.
Yeah.
And I worked. Man, this is fucking bullshit.
Well, and it's up to us just to clean it up.
Yeah, let me call him. I'm gonna call Lieutenant tell him I ain't fucking saying. When y'all gonna have this shit cleared up?
Hopefully within the next few days.
So, feasibly.
You know, we type it up, it gets sent to the sheriff. You know, when the sheriff decides to make a call on it, the sheriff decides to make a call on it. You know,
Man, this is
I don't know.
horse shit. I'm not gonna sit around just so somebody can fucking think about something long enough to determine, well, I'm gonna believe what I want to believe.
well, you know, give him time. Give him this time. You know, and like Lieutenant said, you know, he's got an open door policy. Call him.
Fuck that.
You know?
Dude, if I walk into his office today and say, "Your captain did this and you said this to me and this is what happened," how's that going to look? He's directly involved in it.
You know, and like I said, you know, what we're doing is we're just compiling it right now. I'm just compiling it so that there's a clear picture. It's a clear picture. But before you take off, if you end up taking off today, you gotta get